Hello and welcome to pmclounge.com. This is Lounge Fever, a series of videos where we answer your questions. And question today is about extreme programming. How are projects planned in extreme programming? And this is important because we've been covering a lot of extreme programming related videos. It is important to know extreme programming if you're preparing for your PMI ACP certification, or if you work in an agile environment, or even for your PMP certification, because a lot of concepts within extreme programming is something that you as a project manager should be aware of, right? So let's talk about how projects are planned in extreme programming environment. So there are four important concepts, and we've talked about these four in one of our previous videos as well. By the way, the entire playlist of all the videos that we have done so far will be available in the description, so do check out. And I will also share the first link will be to a specific video where we talk about these four concepts: stories, quarterly cycle, weekly cycle, and Slack. And if you're aware of Scrum, you're already aware of what stories are. If you're aware of even project management, you would know Slack, what Slack is, right? And we'll touch upon this as well. But these four are important concepts to be aware of before you start to plan a project using extreme programming. So stories are essentially features, it's requirements, it's stuff that the team needs to work on to deliver a project. So what happens is, the first thing is, the team is going to estimate stories together during the quarterly planning meeting. So there is a quarterly planning meeting which happens at the beginning of the quarterly cycle, and that's why you see these two arrows here, one coming from quarterly cycle and the other one coming from stories. And that's how you know that this point talks about both stories and the quarterly cycle. So this is something, this is basically the first step, right? You have stories, which is basically requirements that you need to deliver. And at the beginning of the quarterly cycle, there is a quarterly planning meeting, and that's where you are estimating these stories, right? So this is something that the XP team is doing together. Now the team talks about these estimates during the weekly planning meeting as well, and this meeting happens at the start of the weekly cycle, right? So there's a weekly cycle as well. And if you're already aware of XP, you know that team works in weeks and not sprints. So there's a weekly planning meeting, and that's where these estimates are discussed further. Now, it is common for teams to discover stories along the way because they are working on it, on the stories, they are working on requirements, and it is possible that they discover more stories. Now, these stories again will be estimated together at the next quarterly planning meeting, right? So I hope you're getting an idea of how planning works, how projects are planned and delivered in an XP environment. Now, stories are commonly estimated using planning poker. This is something which is similar to Scrum. I'll share a link to one of the videos where we talked about planning poker. Check it out in the description below. Now, some XP teams, they may even simply discuss the story and come up with an estimate. So they're not playing planning poker or anything. They're just discussing about stories and they are coming up with estimate. This is also possible. XP teams, they also add slack in every plan. That is, they include a small number of optional or minor items that they can drop if they start to fall behind. So that's what Slack is all about, which XP teams tend to add. Now, XP team does the software demo at the beginning or end of the weekly cycle. This is also where the users and the team discuss what will be worked on next. So this is how your weekly cycle is done. At the end of it, or towards the beginning of the next weekly cycle, you will do a user demo as well. So I hope you understand the flow of how extreme programming works. And if you want to know more about stories, quarterly cycle, weekly cycle, Slack, definitely check that video out, which will be linked in description, so that you understand what these concepts are up and close. Finally, there's one thing to understand, and that is the fact that there are no prescribed roles in extreme programming, right? As an example, if we talk about Scrum, there is a product owner, and the product owner acts as a customer representative who can accept or sign off on the software, right? So you're doing a demo, the product owner is available there, and the product owner is the person who might be, in most cases, responsible for signing off on the work that the team has done. But that's not the case with XP because there are no roles in XP. So, XP, since they don't have any prescribed roles, there's no product owner. In ideal scenarios, they involve real customers. Now, if this is not possible, there could be people who act as users within the XP teams. And even if they have customers, they are treated truly as part of the XP team itself and not outsiders. That's the kind of culture that XP teams have, and that's the kind of culture that you need to create if you are leading an XP team or if you're part of an XP team. So I hope you understand how XP teams function, how they plan projects and deliver projects. That's all that we had in this video. Definitely keep learning and check out our other videos. Check out more about extreme programming. It is a fantastic concept to be aware of. If you like our work, consider contributing by heading over to pmclounge.com/contribute. Like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.